Three, two, one, and we're live. It's great to be back in the studio again. It really is. I'm getting the swing of this again. I'm really getting the swing of it. Anyway, it's great for you guys and girls joining me today. And for all you guys on Instagram, when they start, calm the hell down. Calm the hell down. Right, so we've got a slightly different setup today. For those who are listening, you're going to have to try and visualize this. You're going to have to try and visualize this because we've just gone live on Instagram. They can ask me any questions. How you doing, Instagram? So we're all live. We've got, I'll tell you what, if you haven't been in the studio before, if you're listening, you're going to have to try and imagine I'm telling you a bedtime story. So in front of me, you've got a laptop with a picture of me on, unfortunately. In front of me here, you've got all the bits and pieces, so I can give a big shout out to the people on Instagram over there. How you doing, Instagram? We've got my turntables to my right. Above that, we've got my old tracksuits when I was a runner. We've got some memorabilia from the Stranglers, my favourite band. Yeah, we've got 12 inches and albums everywhere. We've got the Eternal Bodybuilding flame behind me. That's never, ever going to go out. So I'll be putting my glasses on and I'll be answering some of the questions on Instagram shortly. So bear with me, Instagram, because we're going to be talking today. In fact, let me swing the bulwark of the chest expanders today. And who we're going to swing them for? We're going to swing those old chest expanders for all you people live on Instagram today. Thanks for joining me. Yes, so a couple of topics. The first of which we're going to talk about posing and why that's not so prominent in the competitions anymore. That was a guy called Adam Yeomans. We were talking, and me and Adam. Let me put my readers on here. They don't make me look the best, but who cares? This is right. So we got Instagram on there. We got Joe Perks. Joe Perks, great chest, shit arms. He's on live on Instagram. He'll have something to say about that. Someone's just saying, is my mum a lesbian? I'd have no idea. I don't talk to my mum. This is the beauty of Instagram. We've actually got the person who actually prompted me to talk about this subject tonight, Adam, on the Instagram at the moment. For TBH Farnham. No, my mum, I don't think he's a lesbian. But there you go. Where did the name Dino come from? Somebody's asking me. Because my name's Dean, and then, like everything else, we all get our names shortened. So. And that's how that came about, the name Dino. And my first Dino's gym in the garden, I remember writing it on it with some felt tip pen and sticking it on the door in my shed, above my shed, Dino's gym. So that's where the name Dino came from. That's just shortened from Dean, I presume. And as most people who come into Dino's gym, if he's from Portugal, he's called Mr. Portugal. If he's got ginger hair, he's Ginge, and that's just the way it is. Somebody's asking me, I'm sorry, I'm going to get sidetracked here. What's your opinion on alcohol consumption and training? Listen, mate, if you want to drink, carry on drinking. Don't drink and train, and certainly don't drink and drive. But if you want to top, mate, carry on. We've got Gary Level. Tennis is asking me, did you used to be a bouncer at the Bel Air? No, but that's a strange thing. That's a strange thing because I didn't be a bouncer, but getting in the Bel Air back in the day was a hard affair. So if you got in the Bel Air in Sutton Coldfield, now the Bel Air was a nightclub, as I've just said, in Sutton Coldfield, but it was one of your premier nightclubs, and to get in there, you thought you were the bollocks. You actually did. So what we got here. Let's have a look. There's a guy called TBH Farnham. Now, I don't think he's got a mother or a father because he's just shouting out obscenities. What a shame. Sorry to do this. So if you're listening, you're not going to see this, but if you are watching, and apologise. It's got a little small willy out there. And Mikey Rab, probably pound for pound, has just joined us. The strongest man in the world. He's now gone from powerlifting to bodybuilding, and just like Johnny Jackson back in the day, Mikey's got this big, dense physique, and he throws around weights you can only dream about. Mikey does. He does. So, he's an incredibly strong bodybuilder. He's turned his physique round now from more of a powerlifting to a bodybuilding physique. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Mikey does. Now, obviously, you guys and girls who are watching for the first time on YouTube, you don't know who Mikey is, but you do go if you go on Instagram, Mikey Rab, you'll see him. And I'm actually going to put a post on later today. He threw the 200s up for fun the other day after doing 5 or 6 plates aside on the Smiths. So he's just an incredibly strong guy. But these are the type of people what come in through the door, Dino's gym on a daily basis. It's just one of those guys. And you say you can't fit it around work. You can fit it around work. Mike, he works it himself. He got in a position where he had to take over his dad's business very, very quickly. That's not for me to discuss, but perhaps I'll get him in the room one day and we can talk about things like that. But there's no excuse. If you want something in life, you'll put yourself out and you'll get it. There's a reason why Mike is strong and looks the way he does, because he just fucking turns up and does his shit every single day. But yeah, so I got asked by Adam earlier, saying, Dino, whatever happened to posing? Whatever happened to posing in the competitions? And you're exactly right. Back in the day, you had your Bob Parrish, your Mohammed Makaways, your Francis Benfatos. I can name so many. Your Vince Taylors, certain guys what did incredible routines. Like I said, Makaway, Leela Brada, and you guys will name so many. But the reason why now I think it's not the posing hasn't changed. The physiques are still there around. I'm going to keep looking to my left there because we've got people joining thick and fast. The physiques haven't changed. What's happened is the promoters. That's what's changed. So what the promoters are doing now, they want to get you in and out. Now I know this happens because I unfortunately got involved with. I'm not going to name the company because it would cause me some drama. I got too heavily involved with something I thought was. When I went in there with the best intentions. I had this dream of thinking about how it was back in the day with Joe Weider, just there behind me there in the Eternal Bodybuilding Flame. And I thought it was going to be on the same format, but then I soon realised it was all about the money, the pounds, shillings and pence, trying to get people in and people out, people in and people out. That's what it was about become. It wasn't the sport I knew and loved. So the reason why there isn't the long posing routines, which was so graceful and a work of art, and the guest poser, they'd pose not only in the routine for 2 or 3 minutes, but the guest poser would pose for 5 or 10 minutes. You'd be in the crowd. I mean, me, Chunk Kurt, drove down to London to see Francis Benfato when he did an IFBB guest spot in what Simon Fan ran years ago. And I can't remember his name, the guy who used to train Flex Lewis, the Welsh guy, and Neil Hill. They ran it in, if I'm wrong, I apologise to both of you guys, but they ran the show back in the day, and it was a great show. A great show. And Francis Benfato came on and he smashed his routine. It was gladiatorial. It was fantastic this way and that way. But yeah, it's definitely a dying art, and it's a shame. But the reason it's a dying art and the reason it's allowed to carry on to, and the reason this is not happening, because you guys stand for it. It's all front double biceps, side chest, everything else. It's the same routine you do in your compulsory. It's just moved together for a posing routine. You got Albert Beckles dancing around. They were great physiques. Samir Banut, they were fabulous. They knew how to show their physiques off. But the physiques, okay, they've changed. It's a different era. But the same people are there. The things what have changed is the promoters. They just want bums on seats. They want you in and out. And don't forget, back in the day, it was free entry. Or did they even pay us? No, it was free entry. Or we just joined the EFBB. That place behind me there on the wall there. EFBB, if you can see that. That's the 1985 EFBB Bodybuilding Championships. That's stuck on the wall behind me there. They didn't pay us, but they certainly, I think it was a nominal fee to join for the year, and you got your prize and all the rest of it. There was one pro card for men and one pro card for a lady a year. That's all there was, and it meant something. It was worthwhile, because pro cards now are given out in your fucking Frosties. You open your cereal at the bottom, there's a pro card waiting for you. Congratulations, it means fuck all. Doesn't mean the paper it's written on these days, because the cream of you will get found out. If you think you're a pro, you'll get found out, because the cream of the crop will always be at the top. The reason you're a pro is because you paid for it. You paid 100 quid to get in, 100 quid for your tan man, someone to you've got to wear certain posing briefs, all the rest of this shit. You got to have somebody do your hair, teeth, and fucking pull the hairs out of your nose. A load of bollocks. Let me get a question off Insta while we finish wrapping that up. Joseph Frey just got his pro card. Joseph Frey said he's got his pro card. It was in his cereal box when he opened it in his oats this morning. Now, isn't that strange? We've just been talking about that. So Joseph Frey's literally just opened his his porridge oats this morning in the bottom. So congratulations to you, Joseph Frey. You're now an IFBB pro. It'll get him nowhere, because I'll still beat the shit out of him. He stands in front of the biceps in front of me. Anybody else have any questions on Insta? If not, we'll go on to the next one. So the reason there's no posing and all those graceful and beautiful routines you see anymore, even in the Mr. Olympia, you don't see those fabulous routines where they're looking around and spinning and all this with fantastic music to complement their physiques, is because it's bums on seats. Get them in, get them out, earn the money, fuck off home. That's all they want to do. Right then. Right, the next subject is my favourite bicep. Well, if you're not watching and you're listening, you're not going to see this, but I suggest you watch on YouTube, because there you go. I'm 60 odd and I've got a peak on my biceps on a bear grill. In fact, I've got a split coming through. Yeah, there you are. Double splits just starting. I've started dieting now because I'm going away. Anyway, Rinny Visitors, how you doing, son? We got Wesley's dad on the phone. How are you, mate? How are you? We're in the studio. Now, Rinny, I met Rinny when he came down. I don't know what year it was. Rinny can probably tell me when he came down to Dinos gym with his son Wesley, his missus, and the rest of the family. And he was a great guy. And he trained with his son. He was a hard trainer, Rinny, a hard trainer. And it was nice to see. I mean, I haven't even trained with my son, so it would nice to have that experience. But it was nice to see him supporting his son, training his son, and a great physique himself. Rinny did a great physique himself. So yeah, that's Rinny Visitors on the Instagram there. So all the way from Holland, I should imagine, unless he's on his holiday. Who knows? Anyway, cheers, Rinny. Nice of you to join me, mate. Nice of you to join me. But yeah, so let's go on to my bicep routine. My favourite bicep exercise has always been the basics. So for me, it's always been the barbell curl, the standing alternate dumbbell curls, something what's going to pack some meat onto your biceps, something what's going to get right deep into your muscle and the big muscle bellies. So the barbell curl, the EZ curl, the ones where you can just get a decent amount of weight on. And we'll talk about cheating. There's ways of cheating. You don't just cheat for the sake of cheating. There's ways of cheating, and with those kind of exercises, if you move your body right, you can get an extra bit of weight on them to pack that muscle on. And then, so it's always been a standing alternate dumbbell curl, or sometimes I'll vary. I'll do a 45-degree curl where I'll sit down on a bench that's 45 degrees, a normal seated bench in front of the mirror. And then I'll do normally alternates, or sometimes I'll do it together, or even on the outside like that, like Tom Platt showed me. But I'll show you some of these exercises. I'll get down to Dinos and I'll show you some of these exercises. I can only do it behind closed doors because I get people walking behind me giving the wankers sign or doing some other sign. So, that'll all go to pot. So, so I'll start with an alternate dumbbell curl, or I'll start with a barbell curl. It will depend if that catches my wrist. Swap that to an EZ bar maybe, if that's catching my wrist. But something along those lines, just the basic exercise you can take on a desert island, what will always serve you well. Those exercises will always serve you well. So, and from there I'll go then to, I can mix and match here. So I've got the basics out of the way, then I can mix and match. We've got some fabulous machines in the gym. So I'll probably go to the Nautilus. Now, I've got the luxury of having a Nautilus bicep machine. If you don't want to know what a Nautilus is, I suggest you get yourself down to Dinos and come and try it out. Dorian had one. I had one. I can't remember, but they were made by a guy called Arthur Jones. They're all chain driven, they've got cogs, but the one at Dino's runs absolutely fantastic. And it's a fabulous machine. You can do one arm. If you look at Blood and Guts, the movie with Dorian Yates, you'll see him doing it. And if you watch the original Mass Monster, you'll see Dorian coming down to Dino's gym to film that film, and you'll see him going on mine. And it's a great machine. It hits your lower bicep. I feel it really deep in the lower bicep, really deep. So, and also for me, then I've worked the main part of the bicep with the standing barbell curl or the alternate dumbbell curl. I've then gone to concentrate on my lower bicep there, which isn't normally worked. There aren't machines or exercise you can normally feel that on, but that feels it absolutely perfect. That and that Nautilus arm bicep machine is a fabulous machine. It really, really is. And then for me, I always finish with concentration curls. Those are brilliant. Let me just look to my life. There's a guy called Ed Ross. If you could give one piece of advice to the young gym goers, what would it be? Take a photograph of me, Ed, and visualise that. That's what I'd do. That's a guy called Ed Ross. He used to train at my gym, but he's fucked off to Australia, which is why he looks a sack of shit, because he's training in the gym over there. Anyway, Ed, nice of you to check in, mate. Was Temple Gym ever open to public? Yes, it was. It was. Somebody's just asked me. Temple Gym was open to the public, but it was a ferocious place to go. Temple Gym, ferocious. It was scary, a bit like Dinos Gym can be. A little, not intimidating. It's not intimidating at all because when you go in there, it's nothing what you think it is. It's just the noise, and everybody's training hard. And the last thing they want to do is look at a new guy coming in. They're focused in the mirror on what they're doing. They're in that zone. That happens at Dinos a lot, and that happens at Temple Gym a lot. Just focused in that zone. Something you don't see at many gyms anymore. You can say you've got a hardcore body gym. Say you've got a hardcore brand. When you've done it for 50 years, it's in the walls, and that's how it is. That's just how it is, and that's how the original Temple was, and that's how Dino's Gym is today. So back to the biceps. So then I'll finish on concentration curls because you want to get that nice peak on your arms. Yeah, on Instagram, that's what you call a peak there. So I want to get that nice peak on my arms and just get that little point at the top. So you imagine if you're doing your leg biceps, it's exactly the same. You want to peak on your leg biceps. So you'll do either a standing leg curl or you'll do a seated leg curl where you can get that into that middle part of the muscle, that peak there. And I find for me, nothing beats that than concentration curls. You won't use a lot of weight. You won't use a lot of weight at all, but you're just slow and controlled. And you can do a variation of the concentration. You can do it standing as I do. I can't stand up because, believe it or not, I'm sitting in my pants here and you don't want to see my crown jewels. Anyway, so, or you can do it over a bench where you just literally lean over and it's just nice and slow. But it's all in the contraction and the stretch at the bottom. I can't stretch at the bottom because my elbows are calcified now, but it's all about the stretch. And I slightly supinate. It's a fancy word. I just twist my wrist as it's coming up because when you pose, you supinate your arms into a bodybuilding pose. That's what you do. So for me, those are my 3 go-to exercises. And you don't want to overtrain your biceps. That's something I see all the time. People overtraining the biceps. It's something you don't want to do because you use your biceps indirectly with back. I mean, we've done biceps today, me and Tanya, but we're going to do back tomorrow. And back is all underhand grip, back is all that. So we'll be using our biceps secondarily tomorrow. So you've got to be careful not to overtrain your biceps. I know people want to say, oh, I want big arms. I'm going to train them 2 or 3 times a week. That's the worst thing you could do because they'll probably get smaller. They won't have time to recover. Because it's not what you do in the gym, it's what you do out of the gym. Recovery, it's all recovery, your nutrition and your rest. You know, I was guilty of overtraining, not so much the muscle, but just my central nervous system. By being in the gym too much, I just couldn't resist it. I absolutely love it. So, you know, for Dorian to be training, you know, we'd look at Dorian, he'd be doing his 3 or 4 days max. And I'd be in there 5 days. I'd even squeeze for 6 days. And if I had time to do my weak spots, as I called it, which was always my calves and my legs because I was a runner back in the day and I love marathons, so long distance running. So I do 180 miles a week. So I'd work those different type of muscle fibers within my thighs, and I didn't need big muscles then in my thighs. I just needed to fucking outrun the bloke next to me, which unfortunately I did quite well because I love marathon running and that sense of isolation and that sense of being on your own, that sense of focus and you having to get up and do what you got to do. So yeah, so it was always about that for me. So so posing routines, the reason they've dwindled down to literally 30 seconds if you're looking on your top 4 or 5, it's the promoters, not the athletes, it's the promoters. It's you, the athletes, can change that. That's down to you. And my favourite, if I'm going to pick 3 exercises for biceps, it's going to be the standing or the alternate dumbbell curl. It's going to be a standing alternate dumbbell curl. It's going to be either a barbell curl or that. And then it's going to be then the Nautilus arm curl machine, followed by concentration curls, and that'll be it. Sometimes I do my forearms, but my forearms aren't too bad, so I don't really bother with that too much. And I gotta be honest, I don't like the look of if they look a bit ugly, if I'm going to be honest, if they're too overpowering. But I mean, Flex Lewis's fucking forearms, they were literally like Popeyes, you know, so was Lee Priest. Amazing arms, amazing arms. Anyway, we haven't stopped for there. I'm just going to have a quick look to my left on the phone here for Insta, see if we've got any questions before I get out of here. Any questions for you guys, from you guys on Insta before I check out, because I've got a few emails to do, a few bills to pay, and anything you want to ask me, anything coming off the top of your head. Don't be shy. I can't see you, but you can see me, so feel free to ask me anything you want to ask me. I'm going to have a little sip of my tea while I'm doing that in my fabulous mug. Look at that. What a beautiful flag that is. I love this country. I don't like the gaffer who's running it because he's shit. Starmer couldn't run a fucking piss up in the brewery. Anyway, that's for another day. Right then, let's have a sip of this. And if we have no questions after Insta, I shall be winding this up. And I shall have myself a nice shower, ready to go back to the gym tonight and pay a few emails. Oh. And then tomorrow, you just send me some DMs after this, whatever you want me to talk about. I've got a list of shit I can talk about, and some of these are a load of shit. But yeah, so if you've got no more questions in, so I'm going to cut you off and then wind this place up. Here we go. Ed Ross. If you could have one last gym session with 3 blokes, who would you train with? Holy shit. What a great question, Ed. What a great question. Yeah, a good friend of ours, Ed Ross, who was a great athlete as well, great sprinter, Ed Ross. He trained at Dinos gym. If you could have one last gym session with 3 blokes, who could you train with? If it's my last ever gym session, man. Well, I'd have to train with Big Ron, because he's been there, Big Ron Partlow, through thick and thin. I'd have to train with Big Ron. I'd want my son there, obviously. That'd be nice for me and Kurt to have one more blast. And then there's my girlfriend, who she's just a great person and a great trainer. I'd have her there. And then I'd have to pick one more, and that's probably Chunk, who was there when I was dieting down, training for all my shows. So it'd probably be 4. And I'm sure there's more. But yeah, Big Ron, Kurt, Chunk, and Tiny, that'd be great. That'd be a great workout. Quite emotional, that'd be. Would I get emotional talking about Ron? And somebody's asked me finally here, Dean McDonald, or McDonald as he's put it on here. Dean's asking me, my favourite biscuits to dip in your tea. Ooh. Now, you can't have a rich tea because those bastards, they're like one dip. You got to fucking dip them in really quick and get the bastards out because they'll be in there. They'll be at the bottom of your mug. You got digestives. I like them. They can't beat a good digestive. But I've got to be honest, a strange one with really. A chocolate digestive, what's been in the fridge, and probably 2 stuck together, so they're back to back, a double decker. So 2 chocolate digestive stuck together in the fridge because they've been in there that long. You can get a couple of 3 dips out of that because they ain't going to go in there straight away. They're not going to drop straight away. But rich tea, they're bastards. Don't avoid them like the fucking plague. Dip them in, mate. They're in the bottom of you. They're called one dips. But anyway, right, let's wind this place up. I'm going to give all you guys and girls a big thank you for joining me. I really am, and yeah, it's been emotional. Thanks for last one. Let's squeeze one in. We got Everton Johnson, or Johnson Everton if it's back to front, 78. Who's your favourite bodybuilder? Who's your favourite bodybuilder? Oh man, so many bodybuilders for different reasons. Thanks for the love, Ed. That's all out from Australia. Thanks, Ed. No, great question, mate. Who's my favourite bodybuilder? I love Tom Platz because of his work ethic, and I like the way he markets himself, and we all bought into it. He was great. But so many, really. Bertle Fox's physique, Dorian's work ethic to a certain extent, I wasn't over keen on his physique. Bob Paris was awesome on there. I lent more to those type of physiques. Your Bob Parises, your Dennis Newman, an amateur. Google Dennis Newman right now. Dennis Newman had a fabulous physique. Dennis Newman, not the massive ones, like fucking Dorian and all the rest of it, but yeah, Dennis Newman. It's one of those. But Francis Benfato, just those type of physiques, they were awesome. And finally, we got a question off Fincher French. Fincher French, how you doing, mate? Cheers for the question. You absolutely love your music. Who's your favourite band? Man, I can't give you. I mean, I'm surrounded by vinyl here. There's vinyl everywhere, and my living room's even worse. I've got decks here. Let me just quickly show you guys here. They're just going to fall out. I've got my decks there. Look, I've got vinyl here, and then I've got fucking vinyl down here. Vinyl's everywhere. Anyway, so my favourite band, rock band, is the Stranglers there. Those are personal friends of mine now. That was very, very lucky to see those guys. And my other favourite band I always go to is an electronic band called Underworld. What a great, great band they are, Underworld. Just a great, great band. Um, yeah, and then tomorrow, what we're going to do, I've got I'm not going to quickly show you there. You can't see, obviously, if you're listening. But I'm very, very lucky to have collected over the years a lot of logos from old gyms, what are now gone. So tomorrow I'll be shouting out to you guys and girls what happened to certain gyms in your area, because I've got a whole load of them down here, and that'll be quite an emotional trip back in down memory lane. So anyway, this is Dino. This is finally I'm out of here. Thanks so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed listening and watching. Take it easy. We're out of here. See you later, Insta.